They are coming for us, and we have to come together. Community is the only thing that is going to save us in this time of need. There's a lot of parts of me that were broken and troubled and disturbed, and you can see it through these images. So many times I've been looked down upon for being a gender-bending queer. I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not here to like pat you on the back and make you feel comfortable. I'm not that person. I have no choice other than to speak my truth and to hear me roar. Like that's why I'm here.
Hello and welcome back to the queerest podcast telling the fiercest stories. This is Queer Talker and I'm Ben Cicchetti. This week I speak to the phenomenal Love Bailey. But before we get to that conversation, I've got a quick favor to ask. Wherever you are watching or listening to this episode, hit that subscribe button. It's one click that's going to make a massive difference. It's going to allow me to grow this podcast and it's going to allow me to bring you the best and the queerest episodes every single time. So in advance, thank you. Now to my conversation with Love. Today, I am joined by the incredible and inspiring Love Bailey. Love, welcome to Queer Talker.
Hi.
Looking fabulous, as always. I really appreciate you being on the podcast with me today. I'm super excited to learn more about you and all your incredible work. But we're going to start with a little game I like to call Queer Panic. Maybe we'll talk Tranz Panic later, but we call it Queer Panic. A rapid fire set of questions. You just respond with the first thing that comes to your mind. Starting with, what was the first album you ever owned?
That was No Doubt's album, their debut album.
Amazing, amazing. My husband's favorite band. So there we go.
And Nirvana. I bought them at the same time. It was Nirvana and No Doubt.
What would be your lip sync song of choice?
Ooh, Tranz Panic.
Of course, of course. If you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it now, and we will get that added to our playlist as well. Who was a childhood celebrity crush of yours?
Cruella de Vil. Duh.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. What is your biggest red flag?
When I go to a party and I see all white people.
That's fair. That's fair. When was the last time you laughed so hard you cried?
It was on the set of Tranz Panic with my sister Raquel Starr, and we were so delirious by the end of it, and we started broing out. We started like fist bumping and like doing some weird bro shit, and I couldn't stop laughing. I almost peed my pants.
Where is your favorite place in the world?
Right here, right now, baby. But also on the stage, like wherever you take me and I'm on the stage, that's also favorite pastime of mine.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. What is a queer movie that changed you?
Movie that changed me, Cruel Intentions.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
How about a queer TV show that you recommend to everyone?
Transparent. My sister Zachary Drucker produced it, and I'm also in it.
Amazing. And how about a queer book that you couldn't put down?
Oh, well, Hollywood Babylon. It's not so much queer as it is scandalous.
Okay, I'm going to have to check that out. And who is your ultimate queer icon?
Myself. I want to be the hero I want to see in the world, you know?
What is one word you would use to describe your childhood?
Troubled.
Okay, maybe we'll revisit that a little bit later on then. And what's your 5-year queer dream?
Well, I have this ranch, and I want to see it as like a queer Disneyland. So hopefully there's rides, there's roller coasters, there's places for people to stay. When the apocalypse hits, there's sustainable farming, you know, places for you to shit. Priority.
All the important things. I love that. I think that's a fantastic dream. Okay, let's get a bit deeper, because I believe to understand an LGBTQ plus person as an adult, you first need to understand them as a young person.
Yeah.
And you said troubled. So what should I know about you as a child or a teenager to understand the person that sits in front of me today?
Well, my first childhood memories are holding my grandmother hand in hand to go off to tap class when the neighborhood boys would call me faggot. And at first, I didn't understand what this meant, like we don't know we're queer, we don't know what sexuality is. But then I realized that this was like my first taste of fame, and this was my first taste of an audience. And though it was like a negative response, it was still an audience.
Yeah, for sure. And how long did you do tap for, and how long were you kind of in that world?
I'm still tap dancing.
There we go. There we go. Do you remember the first LGBTQ plus person you became aware of, either in real life or through media?
Yeah, I was watching David LaChapelle's photographs of Amanda Lepore and seeing her squirt milk through her titties. That really, really just got me going.
That stuck with you, clearly.
Yeah, we love you, Amanda.
There we go. When do you think you first felt authentically yourself? And when did you feel that you could bring that authentic, everything I feel that you do feel so authentic, your music, your activism. So when did you feel you could bring that authenticity to everything that you do?
There's many eras in my life where I feel at home with what I'm doing. At first, it was dancing and finding my center of gravity. Then I became a fashion stylist and I started dressing pop stars and celebrities like Lady Gaga, Naomi Campbell, Azalea Banks, Nicki Minaj, the list goes on. And then finally, recently, transitioning to be the woman I am today and finding home in my body. And that was sort of, my peace.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. In my research, I was reading that about your queer refuge and artist commune, Savage Ranch. For our listeners, can you describe what the Savage Ranch is? And I'd love to just get into kind of what inspired you to create it.
So the Savage Ranch is an animal rescue and artist sanctuary. We have horses, pigs, chickens, and lesbians. And we have a circus town. We have festivals, raves, gatherings, retreats, and we have a gay old time. And it's just sort of been a calling because I'm a city person. I found myself in a city, and it's a place that I found healing, that I found solace in nature. And a lot of times, us city folk don't get outside enough to sort of be one with nature, and our bodies need nature to thrive. We need the air, we need the sunshine, we need chlorophyll, we need all these things. And I didn't realize how much I needed it and how much my heart yearned to be on a farm.
So kind of what's the experience people have when they're at the ranch?
Everyone has their own experience. It's kind of like a blank canvas for you to find yourself. People with cruel intentions that have come to the ranch have mysteriously had a flat tire and had to leave suddenly. So choose your own adventure. It's like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
And obviously, we talked a little bit about Tranz Panic, and on July 4th, you released Tranz Panic. It's a hit. People should definitely be checking it out, and it's got a really important message. It includes the lyric that I loved, which was, "How do we get here? The future is unclear. Broken with our fears." What inspired that song? And should you just get into the details around kind of creating that song and bringing it to life?
I was listening to Prodigy's Firestarter song on my birthday here at the Dollhouse, and my husband was grilling steaks. We had a fire going. I was one with the flames. It was magical. And I really felt like, the world was collapsing around me, but the fire kept me going. And that was sort of like how I birthed this song. And I worked with this fierce collaborator, Connor, and Gnome's Music, and he made this sick ass track, and I sort of just conjured these lyrics, and this was my call to action in that moment.
And you mentioned, obviously, earlier in your career being a fashion designer and working with so many incredible artists, Gaga, Minaj, and others. How did that kind of influence and inspire, I guess, the music you create today? Or is it kind of entirely separate?
I always created muses as I wished to see them, and it was almost a mirror, a reflection of my identity. And so every time I would create for someone, it was just like a little piece of me that existed within their identity. And eventually I was like, fuck that. These bitches aren't loyal. They aren't they don't care about queer lives, you know? Some of them do. You know, Lady Gaga, we love, we stand. But some of them are fucking entitled, you know, divas that, you know, don't really care about the little people that are helping them get to where they are. And I wanted to be the opposite of that. I was like, that's not the icon I want to be. So I want to like create this world how I wish to see it. And so that was my call to action. But right now, I'm going to take down my hair because it's been cooking. You know, sister, I've been cooking it just for you. You know,
Looks amazing.
we've been doing the most over here. Day drag at what is it? 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yeah, that's early. So for anyone who's only listening, I encourage you to check out the video because you get to see the full glory and it's amazing. And obviously, you look fabulous and you always look fantastic. I guess how was that transition from putting designs together and outfits and looks together for other people to now, obviously being able to kind of create yourself in that vision?
You know, it is like second nature to me. Like dressing for pleasure has always been my like sense of armor, my sense of like finding my grounding to take on the world and, you know, giving myself a mask so I can speak my truth. So the more I like dive into that, the more I'm able to just be me.
And you look fabulous. I appreciate it. And you're currently working on a short film, right? And it's called The Battle for TransMecula.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that film, how it came together, what the message in it that you hope it sends to both queer audience and also, I guess, to the wider world?
Yes, so the Battle of TransMecula came birthed when I was speaking in the city council meetings. So, for those of you that don't know, the Battle of TransMecula, I used to speak at the city council meetings and the school board meetings because there's a lot of corrupt politics happening in Temecula. And so we're colonizing it as TransMecula for trans people. And they've been doing a lot of corrupt politics, like mandatory outing policy. So if Jimmy's wearing nail polish one day, he gets written up to his homophobic parents. Then gets kicked out of his home. He becomes homeless. And this is like a witch hunt to find out all the queer people. And it's part of Project 2025 and Trump's mission to defund the public school education system, dismantle democracy, and enslave people that aren't white and Christian nationalists. So, but if you think you're above the law, Karen, KKK Karen, he's coming for you too. So, this is you know a sort of a mission of mine to liberate all lives and restore basic human decency. And that's where this film birthed because the power of media is important and we must reclaim our queer history and take the power back. And the only way I know how to do that is through music, art, fashion, dance, and media. And as much as I love going in these Republican spaces, conservative, you know, with death eyes stare on me, it's traumatizing and I don't like to be there. So I'd rather be creating a story of empowerment to share with my brothers and sisters. So that's what I'm doing. Battle for Transmecula in theaters near you soon. Grab some popcorn.
There we go. I guess you bring up an interesting point, which is the current climate in the US. You know, as a Brit that's kind of watching from afar, it's scary, even for me. I've spent some time in the US. I would now probably be more reluctant to come to the US out of fear of kind of the environment there. How has it felt over the last, I mean, he's only been back in power for a few months, but how has that felt for you as a queer person in the US?
Well, you guys birthed colonization, so you tell me. It started with y'all, okay? Started with
Yeah.
y'all. So I don't know. It's cuckoo. It's cuckoo. ICE is over here in California raiding immigrants and people who are actually documented citizens. They're stripping people of their rights, their dignity, their voices. They're shadow banning us. I'm shadow banned on most platforms. They are coming for us, and we have to come together. Community is the only thing that is going to save us in this time of need.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when I was looking into kind of the work you've done and kind of your story and your journey was documented through a book by Nick Hames called Dancing on the Fault Line. And in that, there we go. And in that book, I saw that you said, I've been called every name imaginable and have been knocked down more times than I care to count, but I always get back up, often in higher heels, cracked but never broken. Talk to me about the process. Talk to me about the book and how it feels today. You're not sat there. You're flicking through now. How does it feel to look back at those photos today?
I hate them. I
Okay.
love I love them. No, no. Nick Hames has been a father figure of mine for 14 years. He documented my transition, and I think it's important for trans people to embrace the person they was in order to feel liberated in the person they are today. Um, I was, there's a lot of parts of me that were broken and troubled and disturbed, and you can see it through these images. You can see at times when I don't know who I am, I don't have a sense of identity. But through the power of gender affirming care, I was able to find myself. And so many times we see gender affirming care as this propaganda, this political warfare to make you not trust trans people, to make you fearful of trans lives. You know, they say they're mutilating genitalia and, you know, indoctrinating your children. They say all these horrible trigger words, but we rarely see gender affirming care like on display as a tool of empowerment. So that's why this book is very meaningful, especially right now. And SF MoMA just bought the book for their collection. So one day in queer art history, my life will be talked about. And that's a beautiful thing to finally have the recognition I deserve because so many times I've been looked down upon for being a
Mm.
gender bending queer. You know, they think I'm childish, they think I'm foolish because I love fantasy and glamour and arts and crafts, and I'm such a child and deviant soul. But, you know, finally I'm gonna be in the fucking MoMA art history, baby. So suck on
There
me,
we go.
bitches.
That's a great message. And one of the things that obviously you do, we talk about that book and how that will sit forever and be part of our history. And I think one of the fabulous things that you do is bring such critical visibility and representation to the world. From your perspective, I guess, why is that visibility and taking up space and being represented so important right now?
In so many spaces, and even gay spaces where misogyny is rampant, I'm made to feel less than. I am made to feel like I shouldn't speak my voice. I shouldn't take up space. My light shouldn't be that bright. She doesn't want to steal the attention. We don't want her to have the show. You know, so many people don't give me that platform and they're so afraid of my flame. And it's a big this to that. I sold my soul to the trans agenda and I am not looking back.
How did this you've got such an incredible and inspiring level of confidence in who you are and the world that you want to create. Where does that kind of confidence come through? And I guess, how do you kind of refill your cup when you're constantly kind of working to build that visibility for others?
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a rat's ass. I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not here to like pat you on the back and make you feel comfortable. I'm not that person. And, you know, I have no choice other than to speak my truth and to hear me roar. Like that's why I'm here. And a lot of times I'm in spaces where there's celebrities and there's A-listers, and I have to remind myself that I am the most important person in the room. I am the biggest celebrity in that fucking room. And no one will tell me otherwise. And call it delusional, you know, call it what you want, but it helps me exist. It helps me exist.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And you kind of talked about this a little bit, but your work kind of lives at this intersection of fantasy and activism and fashion and fabulousness and a lot of other words that I could use. Do you think there's a power in being deliberately unreal in a world that is trying to police identity and truth on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, like, especially in our generation, people want the realness. They want the, raw strip back, God forbid you're like too much of a show. God forbid you're like, oh, she's trying too hard, but like I embrace the cringe. I want to go like cringe and then turn it up a notch. I want to troll them. Yeah, I want to troll the fucking haters, I want to troll the Republicans. And the only way to do that is to exist loud and proud, baby.
We started this conversation talking about your younger self. What is a piece of advice you would give to your younger self if you could? And would it be different if I said, what advice would you just give to a young queer person today in 2025?
Don't be a people pleaser. Stand up for your rights, stand up for yourself, and don't look back. Embrace yourself from all the ugly, the weird, the ridicule. You're going to get ridiculed in this life. You're going to be talked down to, but just like rise through it. Like find your center of gravity and rise through it.
That's great advice. And obviously this podcast is, and the reason I brought this podcast out is I want to spotlight incredible queer voices, incredible queer people who are doing things that inspire me, such as yourself. So when you look at people around you, who would you nominate for me to interview on Queer Talker? And what one question would you want me to ask them?
Well, my fabulous roomie, Brenna Jordan, who is a viral sensation, a media superstar, a showgirl, a DJ, many things. She's going to be the star of a Ryan Murphy series one day. I just know it.
And a tranny.
And she's a tranny.
Don't tell
Already making an appearance.
I said that word, please.
So she is a people pleaser, and so
Oh, shut the hell up.
I want to ask her, when is she going to stop making people happy and start writing that script? Because I'm waiting for that full feature, sister.
I love that question.
I want to see that role of a lifetime. I want to see her on the big screen winning that Oscar.
Yes, amazing. I love it. Love, I've enjoyed this so much. I've enjoyed getting to know you, getting to know about all the incredible work. But how can other people get involved? How should they interact with you? Kind of what can people do?
My Instagram is Love is Bailey. My ranch is Savage Ranch. My dollhouse is Dollhouse, HAUSLA. My website is lovebailey.com, savageranch.us. Buy my book, Dancing on a Fault Line. We have another book for the ranch. There's so many ways that you can get in touch. Donate, subscribe, like, share. Watch my music video, Tranz Panic, on YouTube. My music is on Spotify, iTunes. Help a doll out, sister.
Love, I have loved chatting to you. I have loved getting to know you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. But actually, more importantly, thank you for the incredible work that you've dedicated yourself to. It is so important. It's more important now than it's ever been. So just thank you so much for everything you do. And thank you for being on Queer Talker with me today.
Queer Talker walks that